It's Friday, September 18th, 2020. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please share this video with everyone you know. Blast it all over your social media. Give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. If you have subscribed, make sure you hit the bell notification down below so that you are alerted with the newest video. But let's get right into it today. I want to recap a little bit about some things that have taken place this week. I want to talk about the Fed meeting a couple days ago, and I want to talk about this economy. It seems like this economy has been sacrificed for Wall Street. It seems like America's working class, middle class has been sacrificed for Wall Street. It seems like wages have been sacrificed for Wall Street. Everything now is being sacrificed. The entire country is a sacrifice to Wall Street. And as we continue to see the Fed bailing out more corporations, more than likely going to bail out the airlines yet again, the airlines literally holding their employees hostage for ransom, that if they don't get a bailout, they're going to fire everybody. So I say let some of these airlines fold, let them crumble. We have way too many of them already. But it's amazing how these multimillionaires, fly in on private jets with their silver cups wanting billions of dollars. It was okay that they spent $45 billion from 2015 to 2019, $45 billion in corporate buybacks. So, but here we never seem to learn our lesson. More than likely we'll bail them out yet again. And this goes back to what I was saying. The middle class, the working class, your wages, your economy is all being sacrificed for Wall Street. So watching the Fed come out a couple days ago, it's alarming. Here we are, 0% interest rates. Jerome Powell said that we'll be at 0% interest rates till 2023. I think that's false because I think we'll be negative way before then. So we see that more inflation is coming. We see that more debt is coming. We see that the 1% will continue to get richer while the working class and the middle class continue to be decimated. So in the Fed meeting, Jerome Powell said that the Fed is committed to using a full range of tools. The Fed will accommodate. They will accommodate the stock market. And so the stock market, there's no reason. It's amazing today. It was down 244 points, I think 131 points yesterday. It's amazing that it even went down with the Fed printing so much debt and supporting these markets so much. But they're going to have to print even more money and more money and more money to keep this whole Ponzi scheme going. Remember, the medicine eventually starts wearing off, and you need to use more medicine, and you're going to get less and less results. And I think that's what we're beginning to see. He says that the Fed will aim to achieve inflation moderately above 2%. So expect every time you go to the grocery store, you're going to see prices going up. We are prepared to adjust our policy as appropriate. We are prepared to adjust our policy as appropriate. So they're going to do whatever they have to, go negative, print more money. They are playing a game that I really, truly believe they're going to lose and lose badly. He said that more fiscal support is needed. So just think, how is this ever going to be paid back? And how come nobody ever talks about paying all of this back? Because it can never be paid back. We expect to maintain asset purchases at current pace or greater. $120 billion a month right now in asset purchases. The buyer and lender of last resort. If Jerome Powell came out and said that the Fed was no longer going to print money, imagine what these markets would do. These markets would crash overnight. It would be an absolute nightmare. If the Fed stopped printing money, it's game over. I believe that Jerome Powell is going to find out that he is not God. These markets are going to crash, whether the Fed prints more money or they don't. The damage is done. There is no going back. These markets will crash. And in fact, I believe right now they are on life support. The central banks will lose the ability to support these markets. Again, when you devalue the dollar to a point, to a breaking point, the medicine no longer works. He said that the economy is recovering faster than expected. I mean, this is just a bunch of baloney right here. Here's the propaganda. We are not out of ammo, he says. We have the balance sheet, lending programs, and forward guidance. So they are prepared to print as much debt as necessary to keep this whole thing going along. And the more they print, the more damage they're going to do to the dollar, the more damage they're going to do to your purchasing power. You earn literally no money being a saver. You're being punished for saving your money. Now people are so forced into gambling at the casino we call the stock market, because we're at 0% interest rates. The dollar is losing so much purchasing power, and inflation is eating it alive. Real inflation is anywhere from 8 to 10% a year. So if you put $10,000 in the safe today, next year it's buying you a lot less. It's buying you about 10% less than today. 1 year, that pile of cash sitting 1 year in your safe is going to buy 10% less than it did today. So this is just a time where you must really be protecting your wealth, because even at the real 8 to 10% inflation that we're seeing, it's going to start creeping up a lot more. We're talking stagflation, hyperinflation. The dollar, we saw this week under pressure. Shocking that they were able to suppress gold and silver with the dollar under this much pressure, with the Fed coming out and saying we're going to print a ton of debt, we're going to devalue your currency even more, and they just continue to suppress metals. I say, and I don't give financial advice, this is the time to be stockpiling these metals for your economic safety. And as Jerome Powell says that things are recovering faster than expected, as our politicians tell us that things are recovering, as the puppets on television tell us that things are recovering. A friend of mine, Ryan Hammond, sent me this article, and this is another reflection of the real economy, not the economy that they pretend that this economy is, not the economy that they keep trying to promote and hoping will show up. No, this is the real economy. This is the economy we are dealing with right now. Cleveland's IX Center closing permanently due to what's happening to this economy. The economy has decimated the event industry as well as many other businesses. Cleveland, Ohio, the International Exposition Center, which for 35 years hosted major events in the city, is now closing. It's owned by the city of Cleveland. It welcomed as many as 2 million visitors a year for events, including the Cleveland International Auto Show, the Great Big Home Garden Show, the IX Indoor Amusement Park, boat shows, and many others. Imagine the revenue that came into the hotels, into retail, into restaurants, into the city of Cleveland, Ohio. 2 million plus people a year. It's gone. That money's gone. Imagine the tax money that these events brought in. Gone. Now what do they do? So if the economy was bouncing back and doing so well, how come we're seeing another one of these big events shutting down, and this giant exposition center shutting down? Really sad to see. Here's one on the hedge today. Manhattan rental market sees another record plunge for August with 15,000 empty apartments. 15,000 empty apartments. And for the people out there who want to challenge me and tell you and I that things are doing well, they're doing great in their area, and sure, there are areas, there's always exceptions to the rule, and I certainly hope you live in an area that's doing well. It brings me no pleasure to report what's really happening in America. It's extremely saddening to my heart to see people suffering. I would much rather be reporting great news that the economy's booming, that we're manufacturing more than anybody in the world, that we're beating China, that we're living through the next industrial revolution, that things are wonderful. And maybe one day I will be. And I pray to God that maybe one day those are the videos I'll be making. But right now, you ask me for the truth, I'm going to tell you the truth. If you ask me how the weather is outside and it's gloomy, cloudy, cold, and rainy, I'm going to tell you that. I wish it was sunny. I wish there were rainbows and puffy white clouds out there. And I wish every day was sunny and 82 degrees. But that's not the way the world works. I'm going to tell you the truth. And right now, there's a tsunami outside, and it's getting worse. And I want every one of you watching to continue your preparations. People who are new to this, if you're just watching today for the first time, you need to wake up. You need to be preparing, because this tsunami is going to intensify. It's going to get much worse. And I know people think that right now this is as bad as it's going to get. You haven't seen anything yet. CNBC yesterday, Yelp data shows 60% of business closures are now permanent. This is on CNBC. 60% of business closures are permanent. And yet we're being told that this is an incredible recovery. We keep hearing how many jobs are coming back. Look, those are old jobs, people returning to old jobs, but we're still bleeding nearly 1 million jobs a week for 7 months. I just cannot believe people cannot see what is happening here. You, the middle class, the working class, the poor, you are being eaten alive. Okay, you are absolutely being sacrificed. Wall Street is eating you up. They're eating the competition. All the little retailers. You saw my video yesterday. Look at all those little retailers, all the little restaurants being eaten up. The competition is being eaten alive. So while all the big corporate banks, big corporate America, all the big boys, they're getting the bailouts. They're getting the money. The little guy is getting pushed right out of the line. They're cutting right in front and taking everything. They're taking over. And it's really a scary time that literally every restaurant you go to is going to be corporate America. Every hotel, corporate America. Every gas station, corporate. Everything is corporate. The little guy is just being decimated. They are eating the competition right up. California cities, this is on the Hedge. California cities, this I thought was absolutely fascinating. California cities using their streets as collateral to pay down pension liabilities with debt. So what happens when your state or city has massive unfunded pension liabilities, no direct access to the Fed's money printer, and they can't raise taxes anymore because people are fleeing certain states as fast as they can. They're driving people out with all this taxation. What do? You take on more debt using whatever you can think of as collateral. And I'll paraphrase a little bit through this article for you. It was this is what we're living in. Anybody telling you that this is normal, that things are good, that the economy's good, it's recovering, it's booming, they are flat out lying to you, or they are dumb as a rock. And I'm not sitting here to judge anybody or make fun of anybody, but they are dumb as a rock. West Covina, the city of West Covina, a couple hours from my house in LA County. This July, the city is paying off its $205 million debt to CalPERS by issuing bonds using its city streets, and this is according to Forbes. Torrance, another city here in California, in LA, has done the same thing. It will issue $350 million in bonds using its streets as collateral as well. They are using something called lease revenue bonds. You talk about getting creative. This is over the top. They lease their streets to a special financing authority, which will pay the city their upfront money and rent the streets back to the city for the 25-year term of agreement in order to pay off the bonds. Again, they're telling you that everything is okay. Ladies and gentlemen, everything is okay. Tick, 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 while the ticking time bomb continues to tick. And let me tell you, that time bomb is going to blow up. It's not a matter of if. The ticking time bomb is going to blow up, and it is a matter of when it blows up. And this is going to be literally a nuclear explosion. There was a very good article this week on wolfstreet.com, and it's titled Down-to-Earth Aspects of the U.S. Economy in Near Real Time. And what they did was they took raw, unadjusted data and they compared it to today versus back in January. And I thought that this was an excellent barometer to what's really happening in the U.S. economy. And I think that this makes some very, very good points of where the economy is. And anybody that believes the economy is in a V-shaped recovery is fooling themselves. When you read these numbers, it is clear what's happening with the U.S. economy. Restaurants, seated diners, foot traffic is down 49% today compared to January. Airlines, airports, foot traffic down 69.7%. Going to the office, 74.4% less people are going to the office. In the article here, it makes a very good point. What happens to all those coffee houses in those office areas, those barbershops, those hair salons, those retailers, those restaurants, etc.? What's going to happen to all that commercial real estate? We're going to see commercial real estate absolutely get wrecked. It is right now sinking into a depression. And I believe that we're going to see that transition over into housing. I think we're going to see a massive housing crash. The commercial real estate crash has already begun. Consumer and worker visits to places of commerce, such as stores, malls, restaurants, hotels, movie theaters, etc. Comparing the foot traffic today, this week, to the foot traffic ending January 15, 2020. Here's the data. Foot traffic in Kansas City down 23%. Los Angeles, foot traffic down 55%. San Bernardino, Riverside County, right here where I live, foot traffic down 45%. Orlando down 55%. Nashville down 30%. And the list goes on and on. So anybody telling you that life is good, my friend, everything is coming back to normal, everything's going to be fine, the V-shaped recovery is wonderful, they are flat out lying to you, or they have no idea what is happening in this economy. And they should really wake up, educate themselves, read a little bit, and really pay attention, because so many people are so asleep. They're being decimated right now. They don't even know it. Your 401k, your pensions, all of it is going to be robbed. This stock market is a ticking time bomb. The housing market, ticking time bomb. Commercial real estate already collapsing. Retail collapsing. Again, if the Fed was not pumping all this money into the markets would be collapsing right now. All of it is an illusion. It's a giant Ponzi scheme. And as soon as the medicine begins to wear off, it no longer has that same effect, these markets are going to be in very, very big trouble. I hope that you're getting your debts paid down. I hope that you're putting assets away. I hope that you're putting food and water away. I hope you're walking close to God. I really hope that many of you are really beginning to see the light. I hope that you're critically thinking for yourselves, becoming more self-sufficient. We see 9 million people haven't even gotten a stimulus check yet. We see people still struggling to get an unemployment check. The system is broken. The government can't even function, and yet people are going to try and rely on the government. They're going to be reliant on the government for food, for money. The government is broken. The system is broken, and this is the reason why it is so important that you're more self-sufficient now than ever before. It's never been more important to be self-sufficient. You cannot rely on the system. The police will not be there for you. The financial institutions are not going to be there for you. The government is not going to be there for you. If you're dependent on the government for food and money, you're going to probably get yourself in very, very big trouble, because the government can't even run itself correctly. All of this is due to the government. We have major debts and deficits because of the government. We have people who can't even get help because of the government. We have criminality in the financial institutions because of the government. It's amazing that I don't see any politicians starving. I don't see any politicians going homeless. I don't see any bankers going homeless. I don't see any CEOs going homeless or starving, but I see middle class and I see working class Americans losing everything. USA Today, this is going to bankrupt me. Americans rack up $45 billion worth of medical debt in collections. So while millions are jobless, while millions are dependent on the system, they've racked up $45 billion in medical debt. And isn't it amazing that we're at 0% interest rates? Banks can borrow money for next to nothing, yet they're charging you 22, 24% on your credit card. $45 billion worth of medical debt. These people are going to be in big trouble. Just think of the bankruptcies that we're going to see. How many Americans are going to have to file bankruptcy? How many Americans didn't pay rent? How many Americans are going to lose houses? How many Americans are going to lose their cars to the repo man? People's credit is going to be devastated. Debt collection running wild, medical debt everywhere. We don't talk about the destruction of people's credit and what happens when people can't borrow money, when they can't get a credit card. What's going to happen to these people? And it's going to be a lot of people. So I'm going to close with one last article, and this comes from the New York Times. $2.50 a year in interest. That's what $5,000 in savings gets. That's in the New York Times today. And in case you didn't hear me, $2.50 a year in interest. That's what people are earning on $5,000 in a savings account. This is the lunacy that we're seeing today. This is what is forcing people to the casino that we call the stock market. This is what 0% interest rates is doing to America. The saver is being punished. Unbelievable. So people with any savings are risking it, or if you leave that money in the bank, inflation is just eating it up, because real inflation, as we know, is 8 to 10%. So next year, that $5,000 buys a lot less. So this is where we're at today. The banks borrow money at zero, charge you 22, 24% interest on a credit card. They give you literally 0.5% on your savings account. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So look, really critical times here. And I'm going to leave you with this for the weekend. Get out of the system as much as you can. I'm not telling you to be 100% out of the system, but I would not be keeping a lot of money in the banks right now. I would not be reliant on the system or the financial institutions. I would not be reliant on the government. It is all breaking down right before our very eyes. It's very, very clear to see. Take this weekend, prepare the best that you can, put balance in your life, but the data and the statistics and the news does not point to good times. What it does point to, and you don't need a crystal ball to see where all this is going, but things are collapsing right now, and we are going to see things absolutely implode, whether it's commercial real estate, the housing market, the stock market. Everything is cracking right now, and things are just unsustainable. The debt is unsustainable. Having 40, 50 million people out of work is unsustainable. It's going to get really, really, really ugly here in America. And like I said, I wish I could report better news, but it just seems to just continue to get worse as Americans are getting more and more desperate, becoming more and more dependent on the government to take care of them, becoming debt slaves. They're digging holes that they're just not going to be able to get out of. And I think that we're going to see a huge reckoning here socially, politically, financially, and spiritually in America. And just all I can say is do the best that you can to prepare every which way possible. Have a good weekend. Get out, get a little workout in, put some balance in your life, but also be preparing, be very aware of your surroundings. Again, we're living in a time where if you wear a certain shirt or a certain hat, you could be assaulted, even killed. Things are getting very dangerous in America, and you really have to be aware of your surroundings. use situational awareness. Get out, do a little training at the range if you can this weekend. Get to the gym, get active, get the body in shape, the mind, the soul, the spirit. Just continue to prepare the best that you can. God bless every one of you. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.